Good morning, guys. We're here at Rob's Dyno Service, and today we're going to be doing the Zippers Performance Fuel Injection Upgrade. You've already seen how to tune that bike. Now we're going to show you all the details and putting it together. So one of the first things you got to do, before you even take your exhaust off, you need to make sure you can get the bungs in the correct position on the pipes so you can put the wideband sensors on there. So what they've done, they've set them on there, they've marked them, these get welded into place. So that's like the very first step you need to do, is make sure that you get this thing perfectly aligned to where when you put the wideband sensors on, they're not hitting anything. Okay? So now we're going to get started, and again, Brian, the tech, is going to be doing all the work. I'll be narrating for you, and we'll be taking shots as we move along. All right, so as we were talking, now you can look right in here, and you can see the yellow mark. That's been marked for that front bung, and again, also under here, if you look, it's been marked for the rear. So, that being said, now it's time for the exhaust to come off and the work begins. So Brian's working diligently away at getting the floorboard off, get the exhaust off, and again, here are the instructions for the Marelli EFI conversion with auto-tune closed loop. This is a huge upgrade, and as Rob said in the previous video, the stock EFI on these older units, it's hard to get parts for, and this just is a no-nonsense upgrade. This is just the way to go. All right, so as we showed before, they were marked as to where the bungs are going to go. There's the rear bung, and there's the orientation on the front bung. Now those will be welded in place so you can utilize the wideband sensors that go along with the Thundermax. All right, so we were talking about, I mean, this is like same-day service here. As you can see, the bungs have been welded in there. Beautiful weld job, and they are in the correct position, so when it's on the bike, they're not going to be bound up anywhere. But that's just, this is the biggest thing that you have to do, is getting these bungs welded into the head pipes. All right, so Brian's got the exhaust off. Now he's working on the fuel tank. And you've got that crossover line on the front of the fuel tank on these. He's got a handy little gadget there to clamp off that hose, which is really cool. There, you can see it right there. And that pretty much keeps it from spilling fuel everywhere. One thing they did notice, and inform the customer that he has a rocker box leak. As you can see, we've got some oil down here, and it's coming from up here. And the customer was contacted, so they'll be doing rocker box gaskets on this as well. So after the tank's been removed, you have to take off the upper motor mount just to get it out of the way and make access to remove the stock manifold and install the beautiful replacement. It is a piece of art, there's no doubt.
The Zippers, they did a good job with it.
All right, so as we're getting a little bit deeper in here, the factory intake, it's getting ready to come out.
We've got the fuel injectors. I need to come over that side so I can see that throttle. Disconnect it. There you go.
So there it goes. It's pretty much out. One more cable, a couple of hoses, and it's done. So on this unit, it's already got an aftermarket fuel pressure regulator here that go to the injectors. Therefore, with the stock unit, you have to cut the barbs off of these two fittings and then use the rubber hoses. And with this one, don't have to do any of the cutting on the barbs because they've already been cut. This aftermarket fuel pressure regulator is already got that done for it, so that makes it a little bit simpler. Okay, so the new fuel regulator is all set, ready to go, and the new artwork, it's just gonna look so good on that with the black cylinders, and it's just gonna look great, even though you don't ever get to see it.
You don't get to see enough of it, that's for sure. On the other side in from there so I can see what's going on.
There's definitely some finesse needed when you're installing an intake manifold.
Back these screws out a little further. Put these other two down in.
All right, Brian's starting to button things up. He's getting ready to tighten up the intake bolts. The intake is in place. It comes with fuel injectors, a nice block right here for the fuel. And then here's the new fuel pressure regulator, which bolts to the bottom of the upper motor mount. And then your two hoses that go into the fuel tank. So the regulator takes it from 2 to 1, and then 1 into the intake. All right, so we're going out with the old and in with the new. Here is the old ECM, and here is the new Thundermax. And as you can see, there's a big difference in size, but Thundermax packs a lot of power in a small package. All right, so just so you know, and you don't get confused, the Thundermax ECU is about half the size of the factory ECU. All right, you install your cables as so, your USB cable, so you can tune it, and then this goes right back. Now, if you look at the original one, the way the plate goes in, this is how the original one fit. Well, this has only got 1 tab instead of 2 sets of tabs. So, when you install this, and if you can see it, it's just 1 tab in, and then it just fits right into it. So, don't get confused when you get to the point of installing a Thundermax. It installs very easily. And you use your retainer plate, which has got, wire connections and spare fuses, so on and so forth on it. So, granted, you've got the Thundermax ECU going in, but you do have to add 1 additional wire, and it's in this system here, which you can see the plug in it right there. That plug gets removed, and you add an additional wire. And that's the speed sensor wire, because as of right now, there is no speed sensor going to the ECM. So by adding this wire, that will give the speed sensor information to go into the ECU to where you can tune it and make things right. Alrighty, so the exhaust went out, the bungs got welded on, the exhaust is back on the bike. And I'm going to try and give you a little bit of footage so you can see the actual angles. Here's the rear, right here. And you can see the angles, so it's got plenty of slack. It's not hitting anything. Lots of room for the wiring. The front one, it's key to make sure you get the correct location of it. And I'll go around the other side and show you. So you clear the front cylinder. Now the wideband O2 sensors are quite a bit longer, as you can see here in this view. They're quite a bit longer than the standard ones. So you got to make sure you have plenty of clearance from the front cylinder, and also it has to be up high enough to clear the oil filter housing. And that's what it should look like when it's all done. So make sure you get those bungs welded on in the proper position. Here's the rear.
You pull it up too to show them the relay.
Okay, one of the other items that you have to do, the kit comes with a new relay right here, and you need that relay. All right, let's start again. So one of the other items in the kit is a new relay. This relay right here replaces the stock one, and this provides 12 volt to the Thundermax. So don't forget to change the relay because it won't work without it. Okay, so the kit comes with an R&S big sucker intake. Make sure you've got the right bolts for the oil galleys from the vents on the heads. And also make sure everything clears nicely. And one thing to mention, do not tighten your intake bolts until you've got that mounted. Otherwise you could end up with see how these intake bolts are not tight yet? You could end up with an intake leak if you tighten those up and then put the air cleaner on. So be sure to do that and then tighten up your intake bolts. Alright, so here we are on the intake side. Everything's all buttoned up. And you can get a fancy cover for the big sucker if you want one. A lot of guys like to keep the factory covers on there, but it's all open here in the back. Gets plenty of airflow. And again, that intake is just a piece of art. Looks great. Everything's going together. And next we're going to jump on the other side and talk about the fuel pressure regulator and how that mounts. So you've got your upper motor mount piece here, the piece that goes between the heads, the pressure regulator, and that's all going to kind of fit together. If you have 4 hands, 6 toes, don't forget your spacer. Don't forget your spacer, folks. Make sure it goes back the way it was. It comes with a longer bolt, so it all fits together.
Huh. I actually don't like that.
And one of the nice things, I don't know if you guys can see it right here, that bolt recesses up into it so you don't have to put a wrench on it when you're tightening it. It's kind of a neat little feature. Oh, maybe you do. Well, I take that back. Well, all right, so they give you a longer bolt. You've got your fuel pressure regulator. The hoses are split around your horn mount. This bolts down onto the heads where it was. This is the crossbar between from the frame over to the upper motor mount. You get that all buttoned up and get the tank on it. It'll just about be ready to fire it up. All right, so everything's all buttoned up now. Like I said, the fuel pressure regulator right here underneath the motor mount. You've got your 2 connections for the fuel tank. 2 into 1 into the intake. This block here, where my finger is. And we're just about ready to fire this thing up. So stay tuned and we'll get it fired up. I'm not sure if Rob's going to get this on the dyno. If we don't get this on the dyno, just be aware that we've already done a dyno run on one of these kits, and I will post a link to that video up here. All right, everything's all buttoned up and we're ready for the first firing. Make sure you read your directions because there is a sequence of power on and power off you have to do, as well as, you know, you want to go through everything and make sure everything was done right. And we're going to go ahead and do the first fire. just so you know, yes, that is obnoxiously loud.
Thank you.
And when this bike came in, it wasn't running because he took it to have it detailed, and for some reason or another, they got water in the ECU, and that kind of pushed them into this upgrade with the Thunder Max.